Welcome, everyone. We're excited that you're here for our April GEG meetup. This is Gem and I, Unlocking the Potential of AI in Your School. We have our GEG Utah team here with us today, and we each have something to share of why we love Gemini and things that we've done with it. And so just excited to connect with you. As we get started, we just want to go over a couple of announcements. First, if you have not yet, we have the Utah Rural School Association Conference. It's in Park City. It's going to be beautiful, July 9th through 11th. Parts of our GEG team will be there presenting, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's over 3 days, and you may be thinking to yourself, like, Park City isn't that rural, but like all of the surrounding communities there, they switch off spaces. So if you've never been, this is an amazing opportunity. There's going to be a lot of things there. Next thing is that MakerCon is at UVU October 10th and 11th. And if you're like, it's April, why are you telling us about October? It's because proposal applications are due in June. So if you're doing something awesome with Google, especially if you're integrating that with different things that students are making, projects, applications, those are due June 2nd. I'm going to do the last announcement and then I'm going to turn over to Kelli to talk about Gemini Academy. So hold on, you might deserve a drum roll. But our team circumstances change. And so our team is shifting and we're looking for some new people to help. So if you are interested in being part of our Google Educator group, we would love to have you. We've linked to a Google form on here. If you will apply, we'll be taking those applications through the summer, so through the end of July, and then we'll contact you in August. So we'll get that set up for the next school year. But if that's something you're interested in, please connect with us. We would love to have you apply and be part of our team. And now I'm going to jump back up to that bullet and let Kelli talk about Gemini Academy.
Yeah, okay. So I am really excited to share just a little bit about this, and we'll talk more about this at the end to remind you. But on June 9th, Jordan District Auxiliary Services Building is where we'll be holding this Gemini Academy. And what it is just a short 2-3 hour course, a crash course on Gemini and everything you've ever wanted to know about Notebook LM and Google Canvas and some of the things that we're going to go over today, but in more depth. And so we've got some swag. We'll be offering lunch, and it'll just be a free sign up and come, just fun professional development day over the summer. So we have a sign up, and we will also put that like on our YouTube link and our website and things like that. This is part of GEG, the international GEG is wanting to revamp North America GEGs. I guess they kind of fell by the wayside a little bit during COVID. And so there's a bunch of these Gemini Academies happening all over the country right now. I think there's like 40. So look and see if you'll be out of town, you can go to one of those Gemini Academies, or you can come here to Utah's, and that will be in West Jordan. So we'll tell you more about that later on, but let's go ahead and get started on today. So we're just going to do a little like teaser, a little spoiler for what is Gemini, why we like it, how to use it, just very basic, and then kind of reflecting on what we learned. And something really funny that so over spring break, I went to Chicago to one of the Google headquarter offices to do this Gemini training. And they said, Gemini is just one flavor of AI. And I like that there are a bunch of different flavors, right? Like ice cream flavors. And maybe you're in the mood for a different flavor at a different time. So even if Gemini isn't your main flavor, just give it a try and, it might surprise you, right? So what is Gemini? And so we're going to just show this really quick little video so you can get an idea of what Gemini is.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
What does this remind you of? Schrodinger's cat.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
When all of these tools come together, it's a powerful combination.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
amazing.
It's an entire suite of different kind of possibilities.
Hi, I'm Gemini. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London.
Together, we're creating a new era.
So every time I see that video, I just get really excited about using Gemini and the Gemini era and how this AI tool can be so useful. So what exactly is Gemini and who can use it? So here's another short video I'm going to put in here, how to get started with generative AI. So if you're a first timer trying out AI, or maybe you're kind of experimenting but want to know more, then this video can help you out.
5 must-knows to get started with generative AI. Lately, everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, or AI, and how it could change things. But spoiler alert, at Google, AI is not that new at all. We first used it in 2001 when we launched our spell check system on Google Search. Today, AI is in many Google products that billions of people already use. Historically, AI was used to understand and recommend information. Now, generative AI can help us create new content, such as images, music, and code, all with a simple prompt. But as with anything new, it's important to understand the do's and don'ts so you can get the most out of generative AI responsibly. AI is a machine learning model, not a human. When you interact with generative AI, you'll enter a prompt and the response might seem so unique you may wonder if it's human. But AI can't think for itself or feel emotions. It's just great at picking up patterns. This is called training. Take, for example, a text-to-image model. It learns what a sneaker is through being trained on millions of sneaker photos. Over time, the model recognizes that sneakers are things humans wear on their feet, with laces, soles, and often a logo. This allows the model to take an input, such as generate an image of a sneaker with a pizza jar, connect what it's learned about sneakers, pizza, and jars, and generate an image, even if it's never seen an image exactly like that before. Use AI to empower, assist, and inspire you. Experiences powered by generative AI can help you kickstart the creative process, but they're not there to do the work for you. That's your role as the creator. To get started, you might use AI to ask questions you didn't think could be answered, like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Or get help identifying that animal species you're curious about by using an image. It can even help you brainstorm creative ideas for that prequel you want to write about your favorite movie. AI can and will make mistakes. Generative AI is a work in progress, and it can make mistakes. It may make things up. This is known as a hallucination. Say you ask, who will be the top gymnast in 2035? The response may predict someone, even though there is no way to truly know. It may also misunderstand things. For instance, you ask for information about bats. It might tell you about the type that's used in baseball or those winged mammals that live in caves. Critically evaluate responses. Always check information that's presented as fact. When in doubt, double check it with Google Search. If you see something that's not right, flag it. Many of our generative AI products have reporting tools. Your feedback helps improve the experience for everyone. Watch this space as generative AI evolves. Generative AI is a quickly evolving technology, and we're committed to developing it responsibly. To get the most from your AI experience, stay in the loop on the latest product updates and learn about our guiding principles at ai.google. That's it. Now you're ready to practice what you've learned about generative AI and experiment with it responsibly. Have a great time.
So yeah, and the reason why I wanted to share that video was just because I feel like it's a basic video you could share with students. And also maybe if you are a digital or instructional coach, you could share that with faculties, because it's just got some like faculty members, because it's just got some basic just rules for using AI and how AI works, right? It's not like magic or shortcuts, right? It's always evolving and changing and learning based on what it reads on the internet or sees on the internet. And so this is just a little bit more in depth of how AI works using large language models and machine learning. And we'll talk more about this at our Gemini Academy. Some of the policies with Gemini, right? Right now, Gemini is 18 plus. There are some districts that have Gemini available for 13 plus with more secure data protection. So you might want to check with your district and see what's currently being offered right now. Every district has different AI policies. So why Gemini? There's a few special things in Gemini that we can advertise really quick. So this first one here is a gem. So what a gem is, it's a lot like a Magic School AI chatbot or School AI Space. So a gem is just a specified chatbot that you can set certain parameters around and it will remember you. Right now, when you're using AI, every time you open up a new chat in Gemini, then it starts over with a clean slate, right? And so this one, you can train it to be a coach. You can train it to be a tutor or something like that. So this is just a more specified chatbot. Gemini Deep Research is another, I'm going to pause that, is another feature of Gemini that is kind of new in the works. And you can only use it 10 times per 30 days. And that's because I think it goes so in depth, but it's kind of like a way to go deep in a certain topic you want to learn more about. And it will give you sources and citations, a lot like Notebook LM, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then there's Canvas, and Canvas is not the Canvas like the LMS, but Canvas is a way to write code. And so you can design games with HTML. You can design, right here, it's got Python, web apps, and more. So we'll show you how to get into that here in a second. Okay, and then this very last one is audio overviews, which is like Notebook LM. This is where you get all of your podcast features from. So we're just kind of briefly going over some of the things that Gemini can do here and how to use it. Here's some different ideas. If you're an educator, it can help you grade, it can help you translate, it can help you write newsletters. And then if you are an administrator or an ed tech coach, things like that, there's some resources over there, like brainstorming ideas, creating reports. Just remember with AI, make sure you've got your data protection right. You don't want to start posting in a lot of PII, which is personally identifiable information for students or teachers into AI unless you know it's going to be protected. Some other things here that we wanted to just quickly talk about were prompt engineering. So every AI tool has got its own kind of formula for getting the best prompt. Gemini's is PARTS, the acronym PARTS, which stands for persona. So what role the AI should be. What should they be? A teacher? Should they be a superintendent? Should they be a student? Act, what action do you want the AI to take? Write a draft, make a newsletter, plan an escape room, something like that. The recipient, who are your students or your audience? Are you presenting to a faculty? Are you presenting to first graders? The theme is, for example, this one says fall. The bullet point underneath says the theme of an ocean life. So maybe you're doing a garden theme for spring or something like that. So just remember what kind of maybe like area you want to go into and explore a little bit more. You could even do like countries or a time period in history, anything like that. And then your structure, and your structure is just the end result. Do we want it in a table? Do we want it in a bulleted list? Do we want it in newsletter format? So that's just a really quick overview of parts. Okay, now I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking, but I have asked everybody on our team if they'll kind of share how they have been using Gemini and what exciting ways that you might want to try it out. So our first one here is Emma.
Perfect. I'm excited to talk about this. I think this was a great segue too, because you talked about some of these elements earlier. When you thought about how am I using Gemini, the first thing I thought of was creative tasks. Like I love bringing the ideas that are in my head to life. And so this is one of the ones I was working on, but I had this idea where I was going to talk about Google Chromebook facial control. And so I was like, this would be so funny because the first thing I thought was like slide to the left and slide to the right. I was like, this would be so funny if you did this with Google facial control, like cha-cha slide lyrics when I'm talking about the features. And so it came up with those for me, which was really fun. And so I think sometimes when I'm working through ideas, I love using it that way. This is a picture that I also generated with Gemini to represent that cha-cha slide. And I actually told that I was like, I want it in these colors from this slide deck to match these types of drawings so that I could have it coordinate with what's happening in the slide deck, which is also like as a design person, something I'm like, I want things to match. And so that was one of the things I wrote down, just like as a work task. I love the ability that I have to work with AI to boost my creativity, to amplify what I'm already doing, like as an educator in a space, and then take those and, like I said, bring them to life. The other thing that I love here, I have another example of a creative task, but Kelli mentioned Canvas can help you code. And so I ended up, I don't know, Kelli, if there's a way for me to share. I won't share, I'll just link it. But I screenshotted it here. I actually said in the prompt, like, create an interactive online tic-tac-toe game where students have to answer questions that match level 1 basic Spanish. So super specific. And then it created here on the right this interactive. So you can press the button, and when you get it right, it lets you put an X or an O depending on which team you're on. But it took that simple prompt and it can create that coding inside of Canvas with Gemini. So, and then you can get that code and take it and host it and have it share with your students, which is really fun. Even though if they don't have Gemini access, it'll give you the coding background to quickly put that into a space, which I think is awesome. The other thing is I thought about like what I'm using Gemini for in terms of like personal tasks, and I love gems, and I felt weird like screenshotting what I've been doing with gems. So I just screenshotted the gem manager. But like these are other terms like custom chatbots. You can create custom spaces, but I love having these pre-made because then I don't have to like go through a process of prompting. I can do it once, set it up, and then have an option to be able to do. And so I have a gem right now that will plan my weekly menus for me for dinner, and it will take like what's the best price. So I was like, pull the pricing data for Utah in a suburban area. I didn't want too personal, but I was like, for a suburban area in Utah, pull the pricing data and then pull that in. And then I want you, based on these food preferences, to make a menu for someone that only has like less than 20 minutes to cook dinner. And then I made a comment like you can use like crock pot meals. So it's actually saved me a bunch of time because then I just have to go in every week and generate a new menu. And so like it seems like a silly thing, but like once you set it up once, it can just work on the automation things. So that was my two creative tasks and then like coordinating tasks. And then you can have it output in like a Google Doc. I sent my husband with a shopping list, which was great. So that was mine. That's how I'm using Gemini, those creative ideas and then coordinating tasks that are simple for me. So
I have to say two things. The first one is I didn't even think about getting the hex key or the hex code for the colors. That's a great idea. You could ask Gemini, like, give me the color for this background. That's perfect. And I love the idea of planning your meals that way. I think it's great that you show us how you use it in a personal way, but also a professional way. And the rest of the team, like, feel free to jump in whenever, if you guys have something you want to add. Okay, thanks, Emma. Great idea. Oh, it's me next. Okay. So I have a relationship in my mind with Gemini, and I tell everybody Gemini is my boyfriend, but that's because we spend a lot of time together. And what I love about Gemini is just that there are, like Emma said, so many different ways to use it. So what I did is I went to the Tulip Festival at Thanksgiving Point not too long ago, and I wanted to know what those flowers were in the corner. And so I took a picture of it and I was like, Gemini, tell me what this is. And so I really like using the image search in Gemini. I know I talked to someone the other day in my family who likes birds, and they said they took a picture of a bird and threw it in Gemini, and it was like, I think it is a sparrow. So Gemini is pretty good at telling you not only what it is, but why, as you can see there. Here's why: distinctive shape and the color. I have had some like deep chats at night with Gemini. So I did ask Gemini, what do you look like in humanoid form in your favorite clothes? And that was the outfit that it chose for itself. One time we had a talk about free will, and Gemini was a little envious of free will and wanting to know what that was like. So maybe a little bit of the Terminator, just kidding. And then over there on the yellow box, I wanted AI to generate an image. And so some of those keywords that will help you generate an image, if you go into your Gemini chat, type in, can you generate, or can you make an image? So I wanted a picture of a cactus farm with a pool in the middle for a story that I was writing with students. And so this could be a really fun like writing prompt idea if you're like, hey, I want Gemini to make a picture and then I want my students to write about it, or vice versa. they could write and then make a picture to go with their writing. And then in the red box, I just have some like lesson plans and emails and things that I've done in my Gemini chat, which this is a lot like School AI, Code Teacher. Like we said, they're very similar, but they're just different flavors of AI. And then the very interesting like top box, I think, is that you can now cite Gemini. So if you use Gemini in like any of your creative works, like writing, or this one is image generator, then that's how you cite in Gemini. So that way, if you are using AI, now there are actual ways to cite your sources. So that's mine. All right, Eliza, it's you.
It's me. Okay. So the first one I put in was affirmations. I have been huge into affirmations lately. Just kind of trying to focus on wellness and mental health. So I actually bought like an affirmation card deck, but I kept reading them every morning and thinking like, I don't really feel like this is relevant. I don't feel like I need this. So I thought to hop onto Gemini and ask it to create a personalized affirmation for me. I kind of every morning feel like I need something a little bit different. So maybe I wake up and I feel like really stressed out, or maybe I'm just really tired and lethargic, or I just ask it to create an affirmation kind of focusing on one or more of those specific things. It'll generally give me a lot more than what I want. So I always ask it to be clear and concise, and it'll give me like one or two sentences. And I've just been loving them. I feel like each one I get really hits home to me, just probably because I'm being so specific in my prompt and saying like, I need something to help me feel calm or to help me feel patient today. So that's been really helpful. And I've actually been really looking forward to getting out of bed so I can get my affirmation. I used to hit snooze for like an hour, but now I just hop right up and I'm like ready to go and get my affirmation and get started. And then the other one that I really like is the newer Generate Audio Overview feature. There's a lot, I love to learn, but there is just so much to read, and I don't always have time to read everything that I want to read. So it's nice having that feature to be able to just upload a PDF or a document, and then I can just listen to kind of like a podcast or an audio overview summary of that entire document in just a couple minutes. And I can listen to it while I drive or while I do chores around the house. And it's really just saved me so much time.
Perfect. I love that. I like how you mentioned like saving time, right? Like, I think a lot of people think AI is like, out to get us and they're afraid of it and whatever, but really like you can offload a lot of your like tasks, like administrative tasks or just like things you want to learn, right? And it will tell you like, explain this to me like I'm 5, and it's very basic or whatever you need, whatever level you need. So it's very personalized. Okay, thank you, Liza. All right, Ian, it's you.
All right. So I've got 2 examples here, kind of building off what you just said, Eliza and Kelly, learning something new, but not even just small things. So I think there's a lot of really relevant topics that were really not accessible to us not that long ago. Like maybe I want to create an app using AI and coding or something like that. Those would have been things just a couple years ago that would have been impossible for the average person. But with things like AI, there's a lot of things that are far closer to us than they used to be. And so my example was, let's say you do want to learn something new, not something small or simple, but something maybe more complex. Like maybe you want to learn how to use Photoshop, or you want to learn how to build an app using, say, Firebase Studio or something, which is a Google product as well. You can have Gemini create for you a day-by-day plan. Like let's say, in a month from now, I want to be able to do fill in the blank, and explain where you're at, explain where you want to go, and have Gemini create a day-by-day plan. And so it helps you get somewhere that maybe you really you don't even feel like you're close to, but it kind of incrementally builds up to whatever that might be. And so that's kind of one example, I think, professionally, that's been really helpful. Kind of gives you the ability to maybe shoot for some really big ideas that maybe would have been difficult before. And then the other example, and this one really is, at least for me, is more of a personal use of Gemini. And in fact, unless things have changed, I believe Gemini Live is only available in personal accounts. It's not available in an EDU account, at least not yet. But Gemini Live, basically, it allows you to just talk back and forth with Gemini. And so, you'll say something, it'll give a response, and you can kind of go back and forth, ask deeper questions and things like that. I instead of Googling something, I just open up Gemini. I click on the Gemini Live button, and I'll just ask the question. I try to be really specific because I find that I get far better results on that. But it kind of takes some of the searching out of looking for new ideas like that. You can really use Gemini to kind of narrow down your search and give you a far more specific answer. You still have to be careful, right? You still want to be able to confirm that the answer you're getting is accurate. So tread carefully, I guess. But it's a really easy way to kind of get the answers that you need for whatever it is, how to do something around your house, or how to whatever it might be. And so I find that that's both of those things have been really helpful professionally and personally.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you mentioned like talking back and forth. Like I just did that the other day where I was like changing the voice. Like they're all named after stars. Orion, Pegasus, right? They're all these like different voices that make it feel more like personalized to you. So cool. Thanks for sharing that, Ian. I think those are really, really good ideas. Okay, Deanna, finish this up. Oh, you're muted, Deanna. Sorry, we can't hear you there.
Thank you for telling me that. I've forgotten I'd put that on. One of the things that I like to do is to take some of those, how when we go to USET and we have all of those links that we've put into USET and we've got them in a Google Keep form. You can actually go from Google Keep Notes and create a study guide. So it'll create a study guide for you that'll say, oh, here's this and this and this. And so it'll give you an idea of what you've got in those Keep Notes that you didn't know you had there before and that you can remember. The other thing that I like to use it for is sometimes you have two different pieces of reading that you have to do for the students, but you want them to compare and contrast, and you can do that in Gemini yourself. So you can get those bullet points and those things that they need to look at that you want to highlight for them. And so you can take that document and it'll highlight it for them. And I like to use the image generator because there's so many times in Canva or even School AI, the images are not that crisp like they are when you use Gemini to create an image for you, because it really can drill down and give you a great image.
Perfect. I love that. And I like how you mentioned like you can access your Google Keep that way. So like depending on your level, your tier of your Google education plan for your district, you can go into more tools with Gemini. So perfect. Great. Is there anything else anyone wants to add? Any final thoughts about Gemini?
Well, this is just a crazy one that I've done before. Okay. It's just really crazy. But if you ever have anything in your house and you're kind of wondering, like it's something that was your grandmother's or your grandfather's or something, you're saying, oh, it's just that weird. You can actually take a picture of it and put it into like Google Lens or one of the other Gemini gems that you have in there and take a picture of it, and you can get a whole listing of possibly what it's worth, where you can find another one, or just that's just something fun I like to do on the fly sometimes. That sounds really weird, but
that's so cool. I've done that before with like old technology. Like I'm like, what is this? What year was that made? Like that's a great idea. Anybody else have one? I don't want to cut you off. Okay. One more thing I will add in your Google Gemini chats like Deanna has open right here. A nice feature of Gemini is that it will always check against Google search results. So that way, if you're worried about hallucinations, then it will show you citations of where it got it from, and then it will highlight where. So that way, you can say like, okay, this is a little more accurate. I know some AI models, like they don't have anything recent from the last couple of years, right? But Gemini, since it can, stay up close, like up to date with current events, it's pretty spot on. I don't know if you guys have any experience with that. The other day we asked it like who was the current president in April 2025, and it knew. So just some interesting things that other AI bots don't have yet. Okay, so the very last thing, wrapping up, we have a couple of different free AI courses that Google has published. If you're interested in learning more on your own, these are asynchronous. They don't take very long, a couple hours max, and then you get a certificate at the end. Generative AI for Educators, this one on the bottom has been out for a while. This one over on the top is pretty new. It just got published within the last month or so in March. And so it's getting started with Google AI in K-12 education, and it's just a little more specific to things that we have been talking about today. And then our very last thought, like we mentioned, June 9th, from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, we will be hosting our Gemini Academy for the entire state of Utah, and it will be in West Jordan, like I mentioned, at the JSD district building, the auxiliary services. And we will have some people from Google there. We'll be giving you lunch, and we'll be talking about Gemini and all the fun ways to use it. That's the QR code to sign up and the link. We'll share that out with you, but we hope that we see you there. Any final thoughts from the team? Well, this is our last meetup of the year, so thank you for joining us for GEG 24-25. And hopefully we'll see you over the summer at some of these events. And any last words anyone wants to say before summer?
Just have fun exploring.
Yeah. Hang out with Gemini. Have some
Try
fun.
Gemini.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later.
Yeah.